Warning, the Stone Age Gamer includes a lot of bad language. Cover your mother***ing ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. I am Kris Randazzo and joining me tonight is, endorsed by Tobey Maguire, Dan Ryan.
There's nothing I would rather be in my life than be endorsed by Tobey fucking Maguire. That guy's great.
He is great. He's a delight. He was a weird Spider-Man, but I like him.
He's a treat. Yeah, I liked him too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Little chesty. Yeah, long story. Right, he had a lot of torso going on in that outfit. Not that it leads anything to... He didn't look bad. He was just a very torso-y Spider-Man. Anyway,
it's just Dolly Parton is who you usually describe as a little chesty. Christy Canyons, if you want to throw it back to like late 80s, early 90s porn stars. But Tobey Maguire.
Which clearly you do.
Oh, dude, Christy Canyons was my shit back in the day. Man.
All right, we're still in the intro. We're gonna make gonna make Ollie's song loop too long. It's the beginning of August, and it's the Atari Lynx is our next Stone Age. What the hell are they called? The Stone Age starter kits. There it is. We're doing this without a script tonight. It's been a weird day, but anyway, pick up your links because the Stone Age Gamer Podcast starts now.
Hit the links. That was
hit
an option.
The links. There it is. Hit the links. That was a way better. That was a way better call. Eat some sausage links. Hi, everyone. This is episode 370. It's the week of, August 6th, right? I don't know. I'm looking at a calendar from 1993, so let's go with August 6th, 2021.
Yeah, no, today's the 2nd.
Yeah,
today's the 2nd,
works.
So.
No, I totally know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Professional.
Always. It was a weird day. I don't have a script. I'm just kind of like looking at last week's script and kind of adding to it. It's like, so it's going to be a weird way, whatever. I don't script most of it, just the beginning and the end and the commercials. We'll make it all up as we go along. Dan, how the hell are you?
Oh, apart from having to play a lot of Atari Lynx games over the last week, things are okay, Kris. It's been, there's been a lot of because I didn't have any experience with the system, right? Like I never owned one. I don't know anybody other than you, and you don't count. Who owns one? Because you own everything. Of course you have one. But it's not like I ever came over to your house to be like, yo, we got to fucking play Scrapyard Dog. Or whatever. So, there was a decent amount of trying to emulate some of these Atari Lynx games. And, and the Olympics. A heartbreaking loss today, Kris. For the U.S. women's national team. I'm sorry if I spoiled it.
Oh, no, I didn't see any of Olympics. So what are we talking about?
The women's national soccer team.
Oh.
They were in the semifinal match to go on to the gold medal match to take on whoever won that one. But they lost 1-0 on a fucking penalty kick today to Canada.
Boo.
They did not have a good tournament at all.
That
sucks. They just looked they did not look like a team. They were just kind of out there fucking around. It looked
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it's a shame because like Carly Lloyd, who is great. I love Carly Lloyd. But she's 39. Like this is it for her. Megan Rapinoe, she's 36. Maybe she comes back in 4 years. But I doubt it,
Uh-huh.
So you gotta turn this team over to some of the young guns, and those young guns didn't exactly fucking get it done this time. So I don't know, man.
So what does that mean? Where does that put them? This was a semifinal to go for the gold?
To go for the gold. So they're in the bronze medal game on Thursday night.
Oh, so they still have the bronze medal game to play. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, I mean,
which
is fine. Like,
that's
a
still
bronze
a
medal that's not nothing. But what's interesting about women's soccer, or at least I think it's interesting anyway, is that no team has ever gone back-to-back World Cup and Olympic championship. And the U.S. was trying to do that again, or was trying to do that this year for the first time, because they've won the gold medal in the Olympics, or they've won the World Cup, but never back to back, which is super weird. And the last time they got bounced in the World Cup, they won the Olympic medal after they got bounced by Japan in the World Cup. That was the year of the Fukushima reactor meltdown. So then that year they had the World Cup, and Japan ended up winning it. So it was like, all right, that's kind of a cool story. I can't be too mad at that. And then, the women won the Olympics in Rio, I think it was. Or was that London? I forget. It was one of them.
Isn't London the next one?
No, London was 2 Olympics ago. It was the summer.
What's the next one?
The next one is... I forget. Anyway,
is it Paris, maybe?
Paris? That sounds right. That sounds right. So that kind of sucked. And then there was all the shit with Simone Biles last week, and a lot of really horrid takes online of a bunch of people that look like you and me telling this world-class athlete what she should and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much all the other athletes have been like, no, she made the right call. I did this shit, and there's no way I should have. All these other stories of gymnasts who had gone on when their coaches were like, no, you should go on, even though they're like, I don't think I should do this. And it all turned out like crap. And then there was that one tennis guy who was like, no, man, this is the Olympics.
Yeah.
You got to suck it up. And then, what did he lose his third place match and threw a racket into the crowds and broke another one and had a big old Olympic hissy fit?
Had a big old baby tantrum.
How's that standing up to the pressure working out for you there, buddy?
Yeah.
No, man. The thing with the Simone Biles thing, if your body's telling you don't do this when you're running 560 miles per hour and vaulting and flipping through the air, she could die.
Yeah, she could.
We're not talking about we're not even talking about a quarterback in a football game. She could liquefy her bones if she's not in on there.
She could paralyze. She could legitimately, if she messes up on one of those skills, she could paralyze herself. Easily, is because of the shit that she is doing. And I will admit that my initial reaction was oh, that's kind of fucked up. You're leaving your team out in the lurch. That sucks. You know what I mean? And then more and more you learn about it. It's oh, okay. Well, yeah, you definitely should not be competing then.
Yeah, I also liked I saw a handful of reactions she's leaving there. Now there's this big hole in the team. There's nobody to fill it. And I'm there's literal alternates. That's what they're there for.
That's their whole job.
That is exactly what they're there for. And what was Suni Lee?
Yeah, man.
Tore it. Oh my goodness.
Killing it.
She was amazing. That was awesome to watch. We watched that. We watched some show. John thought discus was super cool.
They didn't show enough. Man.
We watched a whole chunk of it that was all no announcer and just side by side.
Yeah.
We're but somebody needs to explain the rules here. I got a 6-year-old and I'm not an Olympic champion here. So
I got to tell you, I could do without watching every fucking semifinal heat in swimming if that meant that I got javelin and discus and hammer
triple
throw.
Jump. Are they doing hammer
jump?
throw? I didn't see hammer throw. I really wanted to see it because I feel like John would think that's awesome.
It is awesome.
We were watching some triple jump, and my kids were both that sounds really cool, but it was another one of those side by side things. They could barely, even on a big screen TV, they could barely really see what they were doing.
Yeah,
because the camera angles were so pulled back. They're so what do they do exactly? It's almost like they do these running jumps. I was trying to explain it to them. Triple jump's awesome. I'm totally with you. I would skip a bunch of the preliminary swimming events if it meant getting a little bit more stuff on shot put and all the other weirdo events.
Yeah,
because they're great.
They are great, and we don't as much as I think Katie Ledecky is really cool. I like Katie Ledecky a lot. I think it's a good story. She won the 800 meter or whatever, and she is now the youngest and oldest person to win the gold medal in that event, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
But she is not Michael Phelps. You know what I mean? Like, we have this much swimming on television because Michael Phelps was a fucking star.
Mm-hmm.
And Katie Ledecky's just not there. Like, for whatever reason. I'm not saying she should or shouldn't be. She just... The point of fact is that she isn't. But we still got to sit through all this fucking swimming. And the breaststroke is stupid. And I hate watching it. It's so dumb.
I hate watching it, but it's my favorite one to do.
Oh, man. Drives me nuts. It's weird to watch.
It's my fastest.
Show the finals. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
absolutely. Show the finals. Show some of the semis. Like, show... there is so much more interesting stuff happening in the Olympics. And they say that stuff doesn't draw a crowd, but, like, maybe it would if you promoted it more.
Well, and if you had cooler commentators.
Exactly. To tie it into video games. It's just like the GameCube. Remember where third parties would be like, well, nobody buys our games on GameCube. Well, that's because you don't put them on GameCube. So, well, we don't put them on GameCube because nobody buys them on GameCube. Okay, but you see where we need Eddie Van Halen to do a most triumphant video. And we're going to need a most triumphant video. Like, it's this circular logic. There's totally cool stuff to be had there, and I would love to see them do. I would love to see them do better.
And even if they didn't, like you were talking about it a little bit last week, so I ventured into it this week a little bit to like let me go on this fucking Peacock app. And even there, the coverage is shit. Like, I should be at least able to go on there and watch just a direct stadium feed of whatever fucking event there was.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, fine, no commentators, whatever. Just give me, because they're showing it somewhere, right? Somebody, that is their shit. In like Macedonia or whatever, triple jump is just the national shit. So, like, give me the Macedonian feed or whatever. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's like, I want to see all of that. And, like, even with the gymnastics and stuff, like, the girl who won bronze in the like vault or whatever the other night, they didn't show one of her vaults. Like, not even one. It's just like, man, this is weird. This is a weird coverage you guys are doing. I don't know. Whatever. It's still fun. USA.
It is still definitely fun.
And like, honestly, I am still really pulling for Japan as well. Mostly because we're still getting free stones in pad. Did we talk about this last week? I don't think we did.
So. Maybe?
Did we?
I don't know. See, I'm not going to lie. It's hard to tell.
It is. All right. So just in case we didn't, the quick recap is that somebody asked Yama P, who is the producer of Puzzle and Dragons, somebody asked him on Twitter of like, all right, so you guys are the official mobile game of the 2020 Summer Olympics. And there is no mention of it anywhere within the game. That's weird, right? Like, there's no collab, there's no, like, special event. You guys do a Valentine's Day machine, a Halloween machine, a fucking Christmas machine. You're the official mobile game of the Olympics. There's no Olympic machine. Like, what the fuck is going on? And he responded, honestly, and he said, we had some things in the works, but the public sentiment in Japan is not really positive towards the Olympics being here and going on right now.
Yep.
So we decided not to do it. But what we're going to do instead is, because it is happening, we are going to celebrate the athletes. So for every gold medal that Japan won or is going to win in these Olympics, and they won the baseball game today, I think, because Masahiro Tanaka, the former Yankee, fucking tore it up today. It's three magic stones for every gold, 2 magic stones for every silver, and 1 magic stone for every bronze that Japan wins in the Olympics. So I would like them to win the rest of the medals, if at all possible. That would be excellent for me. But like, it was weird, I think, in what really struck me about it was in direct contrast to the secrecy and bullshit of Blizzard and like that whole story that happened last week and the stuff that's been going on with Ubisoft. And like, I know we're talking about very, very different things here, sexual harassment versus public sentiment and all of those things. but it was so refreshing just to have the producer of the game be like, this is what's up. This is why we didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I had a similar report.
Sorry.
It wasn't public like that at all, but a report came out that's kind of why Nintendo wasn't there too. Like there was because people were kind of wondering, like, remember when they announced this, Mario came out of a pipe, right? Like Mario was, Nintendo Emperor was going to be in on this.
The Emperor came out of the fucking warp pipe.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
So Nintendo, and there was no Nintendo music in the beginning, and then there was some sort of report an internal report came out that Nintendo was Nintendo and I think Toei Animation too, because there's no Dragon Ball floating around.
There's
there
no Dragon Ball anywhere. There's nary an anime reference anywhere.
Yeah, and it's all the same story. Japan's not happy about this, so we're just gonna kind of quietly pull out. But
well, and it's going to be really interesting to see, right? Because here we are, at least in New Jersey. I don't know. I really haven't been paying. I've been a bad citizen because I haven't been paying too much attention to the news because it's just been making me even more angry than I usually am. So I'm going to chill with the news for a little bit. But here in New Jersey, they are recommending that kids go back to school fully masked. Philadelphia is recommending that the entire building continue to be fully masked. The CDC is recommending that we get masked up again because of the Delta variant and all that. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, life is just trying to continue to go on. And I just don't know. It's weird because I said it a couple weeks ago on the podcast. I'm fucking bummed that we haven't been to a convention. I miss it. I would love to go. I'd love to go to a baseball card show or whatever. And they just had the big one in Chicago. The National Convention was there. Mm-hmm. And it's just I don't know. Everybody's out there just living their lives. And it's fucking weird, man. It's weird.
It is. It's,
I don't know what to do anymore.
I wore my mask to the grocery store today, and I hated every second of it. But it's I'm stopped taking my kids places. We were at the baseball game; it was all outdoors. I'm not taking them into stores anymore because too many people are refusing to get vaccinated for various reasons. And it's not going to go away. It'll never go away because too many people are going to just base all of their information on shit that doesn't make sense. Makes them feel special. Yeah. And we're just gonna be stuck like this forever. And I hate it with all of my heart and soul.
I hate it so much. I hate it so much. It's so strange. And I totally get where Japan's coming from of man, you fuckers are all just coming here, even though we said no.
Yeah.
Our government said yes, but the rest of us were fuck you. Oh no. It's super weird, man. Does that make me a bad person for still loving the Olympics? I think it might a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe me too. I still love the Olympics, but I totally understand. I get to watch them at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not in any danger. Theoretically. You know what I mean? But even I went and so I over this last week, kind of reconnected with my stepbrother. I hadn't seen him in a long time and went over to his house today to drop some stuff off to him, and I trying to help him out. He's a little bit down on his luck and whatever. So just trying to help him out. He's a good dude. He was there for me when I was a little kid. You know what I mean? And we kind of lost touch a little bit, but whatever, life happens, things get back together, whatever. So I went over to his house today, like I said, to take a couple things to him, and I had to go into his house fully masked up, you know what I mean? Because he's vaccinated, I'm vaccinated, but he just started chemotherapy. And I'm fuck, dude, I'm not going to come in here and legitimately risk your life, even though I'm trying to help you out in this other aspect. I still have to do this other thing to protect you. And I think if just everybody could get that through their heads, you know what I mean? I didn't wear a mask today because I was scared for my own safety. I don't want to get my stepbrother any sicker than he already is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I've been going to work the last couple of weeks, unmasked and whatever. Who fucking knows,
Yeah. No,
I don't know, Chris. It's weird. It's been a weird week. It
has been a weird week.
Reconnections and lots of stuff going on in pad, and I finally, yesterday, I had possibly the fucking craziest, best rolling day that I've ever had in this game. I got 3 of the top cards that I wanted. It was fucking nuts. I loved everything about it. It was fucking great, but then there's a lot of farming, and then I had to play a lot of Lynx games. So, man, I don't know. What's been going on with you, apart from the other thing?
So, over the past, I'd say year, I've felt like I've noticed the flooring in my basement around a certain area kind of curling ever so slightly. I'd noticed there'd just be well, this is a sharp corner. Has that always been there? And it's always seemed just not suspicious enough to pique my interest for a second and then be all right, and then move on with my day. Also, every now and then I'd come downstairs and I would see a single drop of water. Just the size of a button. And it would just be sitting somewhere in this one general vicinity. And I would look and I'd look. There's nothing above it that could possibly be leaking. And there's nothing above it that even looks like it looks like water went anywhere near it. It's just a mysterious circle of water on the floor. And it would happen once every couple of weeks or so. No idea where that came from. So we were going out of town for the weekend to visit my in-laws and then take the kids to a baseball game. And I went downstairs in the morning to get a little work done before we got our shit together to go out of town.
Right.
And there was water on the ground. Not just a little tiny button. This was approximately the size of a hot dog. And I was like, okay, that is suspicious as fuck. What is happening here? So I walked over to it, and as I walked over to it, I heard a squish. And water started coming up from underneath the little... We have this faux flooring in the basement. So, and in the seams, water started coming out. I was like, what the hell? So I walked around a little bit more, and there's just a bunch of water coming up every time I step down. Now, the initial thought is, oh no, my basement's flooding. This is a problem. But then I remembered what happened at our home inspection. Our home inspection, they were like, do you know if there was a sump pump put in here? And I was like, I have no idea. It's a finished basement. I don't see anything. They're like, I don't see anything either. And it doesn't really matter because this town that you live on, this little neighborhood here, is on top of a hill. If your basement's taking on water, it's the end of the world.
Which is not what you want to hear from the home inspector.
Exactly. He's like, look, there's just, it might be possible in some very weird way, but there's almost no chance that your basement's going to flood from the outside. If your basement's flooding, it's coming from the inside. So I'm like, all right, there's nothing above it that could be causing it. It's not just water rising up from the ground because that's apparently not really a possibility. So what the hell is causing this? So I look around, I open up my closet, and I see this one little trail of water. And I remembered once I had seen this happen before. It was underneath my underneath the shelf that I built, right? I built the shelves a little bit off the ground because I've been around basements enough to know you don't put things directly on the ground. So the shelves I built are an inch or two off the ground. And I remembered seeing that a trail of water went through there before. And I was like, oh, this must just be, I have a really old dehumidifier part of my AC that just kind of drips. So I have a thing that collects it. And I just assumed that dripped in the wrong place.
Sure, that makes sense.
That makes sense. That it happened before, and it was a very hot day, so there was a lot of humidity to suck out of the air. Fine. Okay. But here it was again. And I looked at it and I thought, wait a minute. Maybe this is going the other direction. Maybe it's not coming from where I'm seeing it in the floor. Maybe the water is flowing into the floor and has been flowing into the floor very, 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 very slowly for a very long time, which is why just now is where it's starting to well up. So I look over to my AC unit, and towards the bottom of it, I'm seeing this active drip come out of the bottom. I'm like, oh.
Motherfucker.
This is what's causing it. So there's this very slow yet constant drip that's been coming out of the bottom of the AC unit for what I can only assume is months upon months. Yeah. And it's always been slow enough that it never really, I could never notice the accumulation because the way the ground works in my basement, the water flows through this little stream through my closet and then goes underneath the wood. Well, the faux wood tile, whatever you call this fake flooring in my basement is. And it's just been doing that slowly, like overnight for months and months, accumulating, but not in ways that I've ever been able to see. And that's what's been causing the floorboards to kind of like wrinkle a little bit. Except something must have got clogged at some point because it started to leak way more, and that's what caused the quote unquote flood. I say flood like it's not a flood, but it caused, all the floorboards now are like super wrinkled up. It looks all crappy over there now, and so that kind of stinks. So I took off the face plate board thing on my little AC unit to see if I could find where the water was coming from, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, all right, we're going to go out of town. I'm going to let this run. I have these little traps set up to see if I can prove that this is where the water's coming from. So by the time I get back, I should be able to tell for sure this is where the water's coming from. So we went out of town. We came back. The air conditioning wasn't running. I was like, crap. The AC's out again, but I have no idea why. It didn't blow a fuse or anything. Why isn't it working? So I get my neighbor to come over and take a look at it. He's like, all right, well, it's not going to run if this cover's off, right? Son of a bitch. I did not know that.
Why would I have known that?
Puts the cover on, kicks right back in. He's like, all right, see you later. And then he explained like what was going on with the pipe that probably got clogged, which is what was causing the water to back up and leak out. And worst case scenario, like he said that since the AC had been off all weekend, it probably dried up whatever was in there, and it should start working normally again. And if it does start to leak again, it's PVC piping. Like, you could pay me to do it, or you could go to Ace and like spend $15 and buy some PVC pipe and do it yourself. So,
well, you fixed it by fucking up.
I fixed it by fucking up and then barely sleeping last night because we didn't have any air conditioning, and it was nice out, but it got super humid because it rained. So I barely slept last night.
Dude, my fucking allergies have been on a roller coaster this summer.
Oh my God, right?
Brutal.
It's been nuts.
Brutal.
So I borrowed a dehumidifier from a friend of mine that I've got. I have it off now so it doesn't, fill up noise in the background during the podcast, but I'm just running it nonstop as high as possible to try to soak as much water out from underneath the floor as I can. Because
have you tried straws? Like, you have children, just get them to like.
Well, I did enlist the children's help a little bit because I showed them like, check this out. You go near the little poles, like the pillars that I have in there, the supports.
Yeah.
Where there's like cutouts of the wood, and if you step near there, then the water would like gush up out of that little hole. And I'm like, check this out. So you start like walking along to try to force the water out. And so we'd like walk along and force the water to come out all over the place. And then I'd follow them around with a towel and soak up there.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Good times, great oldies.
Good times. So video games, huh? Oh, wait, real quick, before video games. I watched a show that completely blew my mind, and it's going to be the topic of the next episode of TWEP. It was Karen's pick. The show's called We Are Lady Parts. It is on Peacock, I think, which is like the last place in the world I would look for something like this. It's also a show that I had. This is a weird experience, right? And I don't want to come off as like a complete moron, even though I kind of am. But
sure.
I don't know shit about the life of a Muslim, like none at all. I just don't.
Why would you?
I don't have any Muslim friends. I just don't understand their culture in the least. So this show is it's all about Muslims, but it's about a group of women starting a punk band, and it's hilarious. It's amazingly acted, and I was able to connect from like the whole being in a band aspect of it, particularly the aspect of a very boring nerd kind of being in a very cool band aspect. I was floored by this show. It's amazing. I'm like I said, I'm pretty sure it's on Peacock. It's called We Are Lady Parts. If you have any even remote interest in just a great show about a band, and a window into Muslim culture, which I had just, it's all done so matter-of-factly. It's so completely unashamed of what it is, and it was super eye-opening and just really cool. This show's fascinating. I loved it, and I can't wait to talk more about it on TWEP, but I loved it so much I wanted to mention it here, too.
That's really cool.
Indeed. So,
I will have to, I work with a couple of Muslim ladies that are into punk rock, and I will have to ask if they have seen or heard.
Yeah, please do, because I don't think anybody's heard of it, because it's on fucking Peacock, but it's...
Yeah, because, ew. Fuck,
but it's
Peacock.
It was great. So, did you play any video games?
Oh, well,
Besides Pad?
Pad and fucking Atari Lynx games.
Right. Okay,
well, and the
cool.
show.
Nah. All right.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton to talk about either.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Let's blow through it, because we got to talk about them Lynx games, right?
We do. That giant list that I made.
It's huge.
Huge list.
Did I mention that I played Ring Fit last week?
Yes.
All right. So, yeah, that happened. I'm going to do it again this week, too. It's going to be great.
Yep. Getting healthy. Yeah, we talked last week, I think, about how selfish Evan and Angie are being by getting married.
Exactly,
and not worrying about the rest of us and how we're going to look.
So
I stand by it. I stand by it.
And well, I do too.
No response from either of them this week, by the way.
Nope.
Didn't even mention it.
Yeah.
Because they know how fucking right we are and how selfish they're being.
Oh, boy. So I really hurt myself doing Ring Fit, and that was awesome. Like
that is exciting.
That's
like
how
injury.
Old we are. It was like it worked, and I was able to do it without causing too much pain in my knee. So I'm going to do Ring Fit once a week in addition to my daily Wii Fit, and that's been going well. So yay! There's a demo, Dan.
Okay.
On the Switch eShop for Picross S, Sega Master System, and Genesis.
That's pretty cool.
Oh my god. It's it's the Jupiter Picross games. It's the official Picross game, same UI and everything, same controls, all Sega Master System and Genesis themed. Same with the music. And it's not like new remixes or anything. I was doing a Picross to the arcade Space Harrier theme. It was awesome. There's like, what was it? Like the Summer Breeze, I think is the name of the track from Outrun. The Space Harrier theme, the theme from Fantasy Zone Arcade. The one that really bothered me, I was super into it at first, was the Alex Kidd theme from Master System.
Yeah.
And like, that was great for like 5 minutes. It's like, this is a really short song and it's still going and I'm nowhere near done this Picross yet. Please shut up.
Please play something different.
Please stop. But oh my god, it's so great. I can't wait to buy the whole thing. It comes out in like a day or two, I think. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so goddamn good.
Do we know anything about the Alex Kidd remake? Do we know anybody who's played it?
Not personally. I read through, I think, did I read it on I think the review for it is going to be in the next Nintendo Force, and everything I've come to understand about it is that it is a very literal Alex Kidd. Like, where that worked extraordinarily well for Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap.
Right.
Alex Kidd is still exactly the same game as it was, which is to say, it's fine, but that game actually needed sprucing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
And they didn't do that. It just visually looks great. But they didn't change anything, from what I've come to understand.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah, swing and a miss. I'd like to pick it up on sale at some point, because it's a fun game, and I just want to try it for myself, but not enough to really spend, a chunk of money on it.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense. All right. That's a shame.
Last but not least, I have played through Blaster Master 03.
And God is good?
Oh my god. So I got the review code for it. I have very limited time to get through the game and then write my review. I have to write the review in the next couple of days. And I'm having a hard time figuring out how to do it without totally fanboying all over it.
Maintaining a certain level of professionalism.
Because, right, you know how, I can't remember if I said this to you last week or just when I was talking to Mike about the game throughout the week, but how Blaster Master 2 was this evolution of what 1 did.
Yeah.
3 is the exact same situation. It is as much an evolution over 2 as 2 was over 1. It handles the what's that, parry system, you know what I mean? Like how you could press that button and a line would show up. I was never very good at making that like really work. I felt like the way it should. They simplified that a lot for this game, and it works really well. The way they redid the weapon system in the top down segments, you now have every different weapon from the get-go, but you power them up through like the regular power-up system where you get the little power-ups, and if you get hit, you take damage, you lose some power, but you always have access to all the different weapon types. And they added these new like switches that are, you know, color coordinated to go with those different kinds of weapons to solve puzzles and stuff, to open up gates. Very cool stuff. The VRV system where you're switching between the light world and dark world, for lack of a better term. It's like hyperspace and non-hyperspace. It's so well implemented. It's not just like, you know, Link to the Past where it's like, here's the whole world, and it's the opposite of it, which was gorgeous and wonderful and amazing. Sure. Did an amazing job with that, and in Prime 2 with the light and dark ether. This really has its own kind of spin on it, and it's like a lot of the times you'll be put in a position where it's like, okay, I'm going to try to do this on this road and see if doing it in hyperspace is easier than doing it in normal space. Like, if you die in one direction and there's a crack in the space-time continuum over there, then when you respawn, just go back and try it the other route and see if that's easier. Like, it's giving you options from getting from point A to point B in different ways. And it's so clever. The whole game is so freaking clever. But I know you don't necessarily care about spoilers so much, but this isn't even the hugest of spoilers in the world. Because the story is still anime nonsense. Sure. It's very anime. It makes sense, and it's good enough to keep following through with it. Did I talk to you about the writing at all?
Yeah.
Had I started playing it yet?
Unexpectedly funny.
Right, yeah. With the Leibniz character just, you know... Yeah. He's heckling you for the whole damn game. At the end of it, like, you get the secret ending differently in this game. Like in the first two games, you had to get 100% of the items to get the real final ending. Right. This one, you don't actually have to do that, but you have to. There comes a point during the bad ending, where the screen cracks, which is really similar to the effect where you use your VRV system to go into hyperspace. Right. And if during the ending you press the LNR buttons like you do in the game, it changes what happens next, and you go to a whole new area. Ooh. And that whole new area is a love letter to the first two Blaster Master Zero games. And you just wind up in a spot, and I was like, oh my god, I'm here again, this is so cool. Oh, and there's, and you're just... You're playing through the whole thing, and I don't want to spoil all those things that happen because it's all very interesting. And then you get to the very, very last boss fight, and you have to choose which character you're going to be. Either Jason from Blaster Master Zero or Kane from the original Blaster Master, or Metafight, the NES game. Oh, wow. That's cool. And Kane's been a character throughout the course of this game. They put Kane Gardner and Jennifer Gardner and the original Sophia metal attacker tank. They wove that into the continuity of this game, which was a really, really cool thing of them to do. So the last boss fight, you basically have to pick a side. Are you with the original Metafight, or are you with Blaster Master Zero to play out this final fight? They give a reason for the game to be called Blaster Master, like that terminology.
You were saying that last week.
Oh my god! So you get to that last fight, you have to pick a side. But no matter what side you pick, like again, not really a spoiler. This is more like a word of advice. It doesn't matter which side you pick. The ending's going to be the same. As long as you win, the ending will turn out the same. But the music for that last boss fight was the coolest shit. I stopped and put the controller down. I was so excited for the fight because you get there and you choose between Metafight or Blaster Master Zero, and Metafight written in English but in the same font and coloration as the Japanese title screen for the Famicom Metafight game. So that's really cool. That's incredibly cool. But as soon as the fight starts, the music is this crazy mashup of the NES Blaster Master boss tunes, both of them, both versions of the boss tune, and like new Blaster Master Zero music. It was amazing. We started playing it, and John's next to me, like kind of freaking out with me. Like, oh man, we got to do this. We got to fight against. Which team should we choose? I'm going to choose Jason because he has a stronger tank, I think. And I just got done using the. I don't know what to do. And so we picked that one, and the music started, and John's talking to me. We're like, wait, John, listen. And I paused it, and we listened to the music, and like it went through a loop, and then it started playing the original music, and John, like his face lit. He was like, it's the boss music for the original game. I was like, yes, it is. This is so awesome. He's been asking me for the soundtrack every day, because since I started playing the game, he's been like, I mean, I guess it's hereditary. He's just been like super, super into Blaster Master and like listening to the music over and over and over again. For like the whole series, even the games he's never even seen before. He's like, give me all the Blaster Master. I love it. Let's keep it going. And he's asked me every day, is somebody ripped the Blaster Master Zero 3 soundtrack yet? I'm like, no, dude, it's just the same 5 tracks from the demo that people uploaded. As soon as it exists, I will get it, I promise. But holy crap, this game was so good, top to bottom. It felt more manageable. The puzzles were even more clever. It took what Blaster Master Zero 2 did and kind of reined some of the like overly ambitious stuff back, like the flying from planet to planet through like that map system, the overhead map. They took the map out and just kind of made it so that you're warping from point to point. You do still travel to multiple planets. Oh, and those pink things, you know, the instant death pink things I'm talking about? Yeah. That planet that was split in half, half it was frozen, half it was desert, and then there was like those big, thick pink bars that if you touched them, like even a molecule, you would instantly die.
The murder death kills. Yes.
Yeah, those things. They're in this game too, and they start off as murder death kills, but eventually you get an item that lets you swim in them.
Nice.
It's so goddamn cool.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's so good. It is so, so good. I can't recommend it enough. Hello?
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
There we go. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. I was trying to choke it back because like I old man sneeze now. Where it's like, you know, shit goes flying off tables and whatnot.
Windows shatter.
Yeah, they really do. No, that really does sound dope, and I'm very excited that I'm just genuinely excited that you liked it because it's fucking important for you. But two, like I just want more people to play that game.
I do too, and they left it open for oh my god, the way they left it open for sequels. That is a bit of I don't know if it's an actual spoiler, but I won't say what it is. I'll say that it's a reference to they reference the PlayStation game Blaster Master Blasting Again, which takes place way after the original Blaster Master. Yeah. So they definitely left it open for not sequels, but like a new trilogy. Like this is definitely the conclusion of Blaster Master Zero, no question. Like they said that's what it is. It absolutely is. But there's plenty of room for more Blaster Masters following it, which makes me so happy. I hope they do it because they've done such an amazing job with these games. And I got this, and then I'm going to get a new Metroid, a new Blaster Master, and a new Metroid in the same year.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, man.
Lose my mind.
But like now, let's move the graphics forward a little bit. Like, you know me, I love the retro shit. Of course, obviously. But, like, we can move them forward a little bit now. You know, it's okay. Let's do some 16-bit style, maybe, or something.
And, like, I get it. I get it more now having played this one and all the eventual Metafight tie-ins that they did.
Sure,
I totally understand why they stuck with that route. And they really did do a lot of stuff in 2 and 3 that was beyond just the 8-bit look, but it still had that 8-bit core. And I want to see it move past that. And I'm curious what direction they go in from there. Like, do they go just straight up 16-bit? Or do they try to do it more like Blasting Again? Do they attempt to make another 3D Blaster Master? Which
I really hope they don't.
I don't know. I kind of hope they do, because Blasting Again on PlayStation is not bad. It's really... What's wrong with the game is that it's the worst parts of it are that it's on PlayStation. It was before analog sticks and stuff like that. But the core of the game actually works surprisingly well. It's frequently looked back on as one of the better original series Blaster Master games. And it's got its problems, but most of those are technical limitations. With the right oomph behind it, a 3D Blaster Master could work very well. Surprisingly well. So I would love to see them take another swing at that, but more than anything, I'm with you. I'd rather see them make something more modern of just, the 2D Blaster Master style. I would love to see that. A different art direction. I really want Sophia to be the last Smash fighter. Just really what it's all come down to.
Man, is that not going to happen? I really wish it would.
Never in a million years.
No,
but wouldn't that be the
not.
Coolest freaking... That would be the leftist of left fields. Like, check it out. You're a tank and there's a dude in there. Like, that would make such a unique fighter. I would love that.
And you could pop out and you could be little dude running around.
Right? That would be... That would be nuts. That would be such a weird thing to do. And I would love it, but it's never going to happen.
There's just no way.
No.
There's just absolutely no way.
And that's fine. A man can dream.
A man can dream, Chris.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Atari Lynx and what a great idea this list was. This specific list. We really wanted to get to that 2-year mark, right?
Yeah.
We really want, and
Yeah, this is all on you, man. This was not on my original list.
This is going to be great, and everyone's going to love it.
Yep.
Yeah, you're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from Geekade.com. Stick around. And now, here's a quick look at some of the other original content available now from our partners and Geekade.com.
First up, Chris, you had this idea, right? You said a man sits alone in his kingdom and thinks, I don't do enough podcasts. I need to do a movie podcast because there is a glaring reel-to-reel shaped hole in the podcast coverage here on Geekade.com. And you decided that you were going to rope two of you call them friends, into doing this podcast with you, A Theater Near You.
That is what happened, yes.
Now, on this latest episode of A Theater Near You, you guys discussed Crank.
We did. We discussed Crank.
Which is a moving...
Disgust being the primary word.
Which is a moving picture about Jason Statham getting into more and more absurdly ridiculous situations that he happens to get himself out of, all while looking incredibly sexy.
Sure, that's one way to describe it.
And why do you do this to yourself?
All right, look, this was not my pick. My pick for the letter C was Cloak and Dagger. All right, that was
the
my
TV
pick.
show or the old movie.
The old movie.
Okay,
right. That was my pick, and Sean's pick was Chud.
Chud is the best choice out of all of those. I gotta be honest with you.
But we wound up with Crank.
I mean,
thumbs down, man.
2 thumbs down. 4 thumbs down, Charlie Murphy. I wish I had more hands so I could give those titties 4 thumbs down. My goodness. I mean, if you guys want to know what Kris and his friends thought of Crank, if you can't pick up the subtext, I know it's very, very buried here with, the excitement in our read and how Kris has reacted to me talking about this. You should go listen to episode 5 of A Theater Near You, Crank, when good ideas go explosively bad. Like explosive diarrhea bad is how bad this movie is.
He pulled a cab driver out of his cab,
yeah, he
threw
did.
him on the ground, and yelled Al-Qaeda to get away. I wanted to barf all over this movie.
Oh, yeah, it's real bad. It's real bad.
What a great concept. I was expecting comic genius, and I wound up with something that was like watching an episode of MTV Sports that takes itself really seriously.
MTV Sports. It's so funny.
Been looking for that clip from the state where they do the MTV Sports. It's sports, dude, and it's on MTV.
So funny. It's ridiculous.
Next, as I've droned on and on about this month through various mediums, it's the 40th anniversary of Donkey Kong. So me and Matt Ramo, my partner over at the Wavepack Music Podcast, we listened to some of my favorite Donkey Kong music, and I say my favorite because I picked the track list.
Because I don't let Matt have a say.
Well, I always offer, and he's like, you know what? I'm busy. Whatever you pick is fine. And you know what? Whatever I picked was fine.
Matt's good people.
I love Matt. Matt is just a wonderful human being. And an excellent podcast co-host, as you well know, as you've been on Waveback with us before.
I have. He's a wonderful person.
This Donkey Kong episode was some of the most fun I've had on the podcast in a while. And I always have fun doing Waveback, but seriously, I had a blast listening to this music, because we dove into some great covers from Banjo Kazooie and Sam Griffin and Poop Poop Fart.
Poop Poop Fart.
Good old Poop Poop Fart.
The most ridiculous. I mean, dude, you gotta come with a better name, man. You can't go out there with your name being Poop Poop Fart. You just can't. It's just not a thing you can do.
Oh, but he does it, and he does it well.
And yet, there he is.
Doing this thing. Now, this was great. I discovered the Game Boy Advance version of Donkey Kong Country 3, which I probably still won't like. Oh my... Here's a fun piece of trivia. Did you know that they recreated levels of Cobra Triangle in the Game Boy Advance version of Donkey Kong Country 3?
I mean, honestly, did you expect me to know that?
I don't know. It seems like the kind of thing that more people should know. I'm completely taken aback by this. I was looking up the soundtrack and doing all these comparisons, because I don't like Donkey Kong Country 3 at all. And
Nobody
then the
does.
GBA version rolls around with this great music. And I'm like, well, maybe I should try this game. And then I look at videos, and it's like, boy, it really does look like a Game Boy Advance game. It's incredibly garish, but they changed some of the. I don't know. It's really interesting. And then I got to this whole thing where there's these bonus levels they added at the end, and I've looked at a handful of videos that talk about these bonus videos, and nobody mentions that it's literally Cobra Triangle. I'm fascinated by this.
That's super weird.
Do they not know? Does nobody know that Cobra Triangle is a thing? Because it's the boat, and you're trying to dispose of the mines. But they got David Wise to do the soundtrack, but they didn't reprise any Cobra Triangle music for those sections. I am fascinated by this game. It's such a weird thing. Who's going to port Donkey Kong Country 3 to Game Boy Advance and pay for David Wise to do an entire new soundtrack just for this port?
It doesn't make a ton of sense.
No, it's weird.
And yet...
Anyway, that happened. And if you want to hear me gush about wonderful Donkey Kong music, listen to the Waveback Podcast episode 133, Donkey Kong 40th Anniversary Special, right now.
Finally, we all know how much I want to have sex with Ferg. Right? That's... I've brought it up before, and he won't return my calls, and I'm feeling a little jilted. That has nothing to do with what I'm going to talk about. I just wanted to mention that before I talked about the SNES podcast number 168, wherein Greg and Joe discuss the first game of one of the forgotten RPG franchises, Lufia and the Fortress Doom. Despite 5 games being made in this franchise, Kris, the games get little notice today. And most people, and you know how I hate to generalize, but
you got some serious-ass generalization problems.
If they recall Lufia at all, think of it as a second-rate RPG on the SNES, or for the very high encounter rate, or as one of those things that you use to clean yourself in the shower. I almost said the shub, which would be the shower and tub combined. The shub.
Good old shub.
Doesn't everyone call it that? No?
Like the Sink-O-Vision or the Frouch?
It's like that fucking crazy apartment you had in Brooklyn.
It's like, the Frouch.
Hey, the Frouch.
What's a Frouch? Well, my fridge is technically part of the couch, so it's Frouch.
I gotta open up the oven so I have a place to put my feet when I'm sitting down and
Oh, that was the
television.
best. Laying down on the couch and literally just reaching my hand open to check on what was cooking in the oven. I could reach the oven from the couch.
Oh, what a fucking shithole that was. My goodness.
Oh my god,
Kris.
it was awful.
It was so bad.
But so memorable.
Yeah, but like for all the wrong reasons. Like, gonorrhea is memorable. Like, it's not like you're like, oh man, that time I had gonorrhea. I don't really remember it very clearly. Like, the fuck you don't? Who are you telling? Anyway, the boys discussed the game in depth and if the masses' feelings are true or not, as well as how the game plays with modern eyes and how it holds up today. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always contact them on their Facebook page, or you can email them directly at the snespodcast@yahoo.com. And as always, they thank you for your support, as do we, because they're good boys, and you should listen to their show.
For all this great stuff and more from our partners and other stuff I can't remember, we're doing this without a script this week. Be sure to keep your eyes on geekade.com.
For all this great content from our partners and more, make sure to keep your eyes on geekade.com. It's what you say every week. Why don't you know that?
I'm distracted by videos of tacos, you know me.
Hey, what's going on? It's the best dressed in a vest, east or the west. None can contain the best. And let me tell you something. I got something real special here for you today. You're never even going to know about it. You've never heard of it before. I mean, you might have, but you probably never heard of it before. And that are the chairs from Ewin Racing. My God, they are comfy. I'm sitting on one right now. And I got to tell you, between the extensive back tilt, the body tilt that you can get on the chair, just the rigidity of it all, and like it comes with this awesome lumbar support pillow. Like, I could game for hours, man, and I feel great. 110% all the time, thanks to this Ewin Night Series chair. And you know what? You can get one yourself, too. You can head on over to Ewin Racing, and when you buy one of the chairs, you can go ahead and type in the coupon code GEEKADE and get yourself 20% off. And you know what? It's just not the Vest Lord that's feeling Ewin. It's Boggy, Games Radar. I mean, PC Gamer, IGN, guys. These are legit companies. It's not just your old boy, the Vest Lord here. Everyone's into these chairs, and you should check them out. It's definitely one of the best chairs you can get for $200 or under. And if you need something a little more spicy, a little more expensive, a little better, they got stuff for you too, man. Go ahead, check it out right now. Ewin Racing, Vest Lord approved.
Hey, we're back. We're going to hit the links. Ha!
Yeah, we said it like so many times. It's still
Yay.
funny.
We're hilarious. Dan's hilarious. I'm just here for the ride.
That's right.
I'm here to follow up
ride.
on the ride his coattails. That's what I was going.
There it is. Yeah.
There it is. There it is. We did it, guys. We did it.
We're done.
Back it
Good
up.
night, guys.
Yeah.
Fuck you, San Diego. Good show, everybody.
Oh God. Anyway,
yeah. So the
yes.
Atari Lynx, Kris.
Yeah.
I mean, You have this system.
I do. I had 2 of this system, and then I gave one to Mike.
Did you have... So, all right. The Atari Lynx it was a bad idea by Atari. No, it was a good idea by Atari that was executed shittily the first time around. Mm-hmm. And then the revamp model was much, much nicer. Much nicer. Like, the original model, you had to, like, take a little flap out of, like, the hand rest, I guess, to put the game in, and like that was kind of awkward, and the screen wasn't as good.
I have never even held the original skateboard Lynx. I've never...
Super weird.
No experience.
So then, in this revamp model, like it looked like a game console, and worked a little bit better. The screen was still kind of shit, but it was amazing back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's shipped by today's standards. It was just like the Game Gear screen. It was a full color. It was a very powerful system. Like this is a really hell of a machine. Co-developed by was it co-developed by Epix and Atari? I think
so. Yeah.
Really neat device. I've always thought it was cool. I always loved the games themselves. Like the game carts, those little cards.
They were cool looking. But the thing that really surprised me about this, though, like going through, and I did my list over the weekend, and I remember this always being one of the systems that was affordable. And while it is still somewhat affordable, there are a lot of games, like any of the games that are really, really worth playing are double digits, like starting around the $20 mark.
My God, when I made my list, the first game that came to my mind, I was sure was going to be fine. And then I was like, I'm sorry, what? This game goes for how many dollars?
Yeah, there's a couple things on here, like I don't know which one you're talking about, but like I was pretty sure when I sat down to make this list, I was like, Double Dragon is going to make my list, right? It's portable Double Dragon. It's maybe not the best version of Double Dragon in the world, but it's portable Double Dragon that looks and plays pretty good. And it's Double Dragon. Like, that game is fucking ubiquitous. It's everywhere, right? Let me put that on the list. $90. Go fuck yourself. Get out of here.
Thank you. That one didn't even occur to me. Double Dragon on Lynx didn't even cross my damn mind.
Yeah, I thought, I was like, it's portable Double Dragon. How can that not make my list?
Well, that's the thing about
because
the
I
Lynx.
Thought it was going to be like $4. I was like, that's going to be like one of the throw-in games. I'll just get that on there. No,
and apparently it's fairly uncommon. But that's the thing about the Lynx is that the Lynx did, in a really impressive fashion, considering the time, it was arcade gaming on the go. And there are some really, really good arcade ports on this thing. And that's where a lot of my my list wound up being, with some of the more solid arcade ports.
All right. Well, how many games do you have on your list?
I ended with 7.
I ended with 7 as well.
Alrighty then.
And since you are prettier, you should go first, because that's how life works.
All right, well, the first one, we're doing it alphabetically again, right?
Yes.
I mean, the first one was kind of a given, and was also still more expensive than I expected, but on the cheap end, and that would be California Games.
Oh, I have 2 before that.
Oh, really? That's very interesting. California Games rolled in at about $12, and this is a fun version of California Games. I love that game in general, and the Lynx version of California Games, if I'm remembering correctly, was really quite fun and a great portable rendition of this fun little game. This isn't one of the crappy ports, if I remember correctly.
No, it's good. The hacky sack or footbag is particularly good in this one. The surfing worked really well on this one, and the surfing it's one of the few video game surfing things where it's like, wow, this is actually pretty good.
And it looks good.
I kind of dig this, and it is one of the better looking games on the system. I will grant you that.
It is a nice looking version of California Games. It looks good. It plays good. And this was, when looking at the Lynx library, I feel like a lot of their original properties, like this is the game that's only on Lynx, aren't necessarily always their best games.
No, definitely not.
But they did ports like this, and considering this is an Epic's game, and they designed the hardware, of course this is going to look good. But like, it looks good, it sounds good, and it's portable California games.
I believe it was a packing game for a while too, right?
Wouldn't surprise me. I have a couple of copies of this, and that would explain why I do. But yeah, California games. The wave looks so cool. I'm looking at a video right now. The wave on the surfing.
Yeah, the wave is really good.
There's a really good effect on there. Yeah, this is a solid game, and it's a really fun rendition of it. Nothing will ever be the 2600 version for me. Not to say that it's a better game, because it's not. But It has that really cool BMX game in it, and it's just so silly looking on the 2600. But yeah, this is really good on here. I like California games a lot.
Yeah, I had that. That is also on my list. I had it at $11. I did my list Saturday, I think, so I'll just show you how much the prices fluctuate, even within a couple of days. But the first game that I had on my alphabetical list is Awesome Golf at $12.
You know, I hear that game's awesome.
It is awesome. Like, if you're going to go ahead and name your game Awesome whatever, it better be pretty good. And that's what this is. It is a pretty good golf game. Like, nice. It is not like mind-blowing or whatever, but I have a certain affinity for video game golf. I just think it is one of the sports that translates very, very well to video gaming, especially pick up and play. Like, you know, I'm playing this portable in the car, like I can just jump in here and do this real quick. It has my favorite type of swing meter in the game, the 3-click swing meter. I don't like the analog stick. I always drift right, which I know is a me problem. It's fucking back and to the right every time. But just, you know, the three clicks to start, get your power, and then your hit. It looks good. It's only got a couple of courses. Like, I think it's got like 3 courses that you can pick from, but it doesn't gussy up the screen with a bunch of bullshit all over it. It's just a straightforward video golf, and it's very good. And I think it is definitely worth the $12.
Yeah, a solid choice, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I will move on to my second pick, which is not Awesome Golf, but it is Chips Challenge. This is, I guess you could consider this an original game. I think this was also on PC or Amiga or something.
I believe it was ported to the PC afterwards.
Gotcha. And this is being ported, I think, to Super Nintendo soon, if I'm not crazy. Yeah, I feel like I just heard news about this. So, Chips Challenge. There was some sort of news about this game coming to other platforms, I think. Chips Challenge SNES. Yep. Chips Challenge is making its console debut. This news just broke on July 13th. It's coming to both Super NES and Genesis. Dan?
Yeah.
There? Oh, there you are.
Here. I'm here.
Okay. So yeah, that's something pretty cool. It's being done by Retro Room, I think, is a company that's putting together these fresh new carts. So that's kind of neat. But anyway, Chips Challenge is it's the kind of game that portable gaming was all about. You got a lot of this kind of game on Game Boy.
Yeah.
What do you want to call it? Like a block pushing puzzle per se, but it's like, you know, you're a little dude in a maze and you're trying to get your, pick up chips and move from one point to the other. And I haven't played a ton of this game. I have played a little bit of it. It's one of the, how many Lynx games do I even own these days? It's one of the handful of Lynx games that I own, and I've messed around with it a little bit, and it's always stuck with me as being like, yeah, this is a pretty cool game. I like this game.
I have never been a fan. I've never been a fan of Chips Challenge, which is
16
surprising.
Lynx games.
Like, it seems like a game that would, like, jump right out, like, as something that I would play. But yeah, I don't know. I can't disagree with it because I know I am way in the minority on that.
Yeah, it's not a masterpiece, but I do think it's a really fun little puzzle, not really puzzle platformer, but it reminds me of the Sokoban type games on the Game Boy that were just everywhere. But this one's a particularly clever flavor of it. It's not the prettiest Lynx game there is, but it reads really well on the Lynx's screen. I would just say that the graphics are bold enough, and because it's a lot of small stuff, very single tile by tile, but there's just enough detail on them to make them read well, but they're not overly detailed, so things look busy. Like, it's a very easy to read game. I think it's a really smart, intelligently put together game, and I like it. Chips Challenge, yeah. $14. Catch it.
Yeah. All right. Well, game number 2 on my list is probably not. It's not a good game. I'll start with that.
All right.
It is a game that I remember a little bit from back in the day, mostly from other platforms, but also something as I was going through the Lynx games here over the last week or whatever, that I was like, this is fucking stupid. I like this, and I needed something in the $9 to $10 range, and this exactly fell at $9, and that would be Basket Brawl.
Nice.
Basket Brawl is not a fucking accurate depiction of basketball by any stretch of the imagination. It is basically that old playground stand by, kill the man with the ball, with a little bit of basketball after it. And by kill the man with the ball, I literally do mean that you are trying to kill your opponents, because like people from the sidelines will toss whips and batons and like shivs at you as you're playing this game of basketball, and then to get the ball away from your opponent, you can like jump kick them or shiv them to get the ball away, and then just take a shot. There are no dunks in this game, which I kind of call bullshit on, but it is pretty mindless fun. It controls well. It looks pretty good. It's a little gritty, but I think that's what they were going for, intentionally. And for $9, it's a good little this is definitely a weird little sports game, and I kind of dig it.
Yeah, no, that's a cool game.
Yeah, it's been on 7800. It's been on a bunch of platforms. I think.
It is one of the Lynx games that I own.
Yeah. Good times. Not for very long, but you only got like 5 hours out of your batteries anyway, so.
Valid point.
You know.
Yeah, no, that's a solid pick. It didn't quite make my list, but it was one that I had considered.
All right.
My next pick is a $10 game, and that goes to Clax.
All right. Thought about it.
Yeah.
Thought about it.
Clax is not my favorite puzzle game, but here's why I wanted it on the list. Because the Lynx was such a neat system in that they allowed you to turn it sideways for certain games and play with the screen in a tate mode. And this is a great example of that, because Clax is such a neat puzzle game, but it's very vertical. So most ports of it, came with some pretty serious limitations. And they really did a great job of porting this game to the Lynx. Like, you hold the system vertically, which isn't super intuitive, but it works. And like the game, it's a really solid arcade rendition. Like, this really does match a lot of what the arcade game went for, and that's something that the Lynx was so cool for, having these great portable renditions of arcade, relatively recent arcade hits. And that's this. Clax is it's not the best puzzle game in the world, but once you get in the swing of things, it's really cool, and this is probably one of the best portable renditions of it that exists in the world.
Yeah, it got a little bit closer going through some of these games over the last week. It still just doesn't really click with me. I can't really explain what it is, but it just doesn't.
Clax doesn't clicks.
Clax doesn't fucking clicks at all. No, it does. It doesn't. Not for me. But I can't. Again, that's one of those games where I can't even a little bit disagree. You know what I mean? I know I am in the minority on that. So anyway, my next game was California Games. So skipping past California Games, we're getting down to the most expensive game on my list, which would be the $25 Ninja Gaiden 3.
That was the first game I took off my list, actually. It's such a beefy price to pay, and there were other games I wanted on there.
But it's good.
I mean, look, it's Ninja Gaiden 3. It is by far my least favorite of the NES Ninja Gaiden games, but it's that game portable.
And it's great. It is the NES game.
On the go. And that's not something that I think even still exists, right? You can't get the NES. Oh, I guess they showed up on 3DS through the Virtual Console. I don't even remember if all three of them did, to be honest with you. But
I think they did. But what's crazy about this game is that this game really shows what the Lynx was capable of. This was really capable of being a portable NES, and it was not that. So many games did not look as good as this game did, or play as well as this game did. And that's really, the Lynx is ultimately a console of missed opportunity, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And nowhere is that more clear than playing through Ninja Gaiden 3 on the Atari Lynx, because it plays, you'd be hard-pressed to identify the difference between this and the NES one.
Well, I mean, from a gameplay standpoint, specifically if you're playing it on the tiny Lynx screen.
That's what I'm saying.
If you play this through some sort of emulation, or even if you've modernized your Lynx screen, it's chunky as all heck. But it works within the confines of the system that it was built for. And that was really one of the reasons it fell off my list at that price. I really don't love this game. It's got a lot of challenge issues. It messes with the physics that made the first two Ninja Gaiden games really good. And as impressive as this port is, and it is rather impressive, the music's not great. It's pretty chirpy for no, not that Link's music isn't always kind of chirpy. Similar,
I was
going to
say that's kind of a failing of the system as a whole. Unfortunately,
it is, but this is a little bit. I feel like they could have done better. Yeah, they could have done better with the music in this. But that said, the cinematics are breathtaking. The cinematics do not look. They look 1-to-1 with the NES, their NES counterparts. They look outstanding. It's the levels themselves that look almost like they took the NES game and hit pixelate in Photoshop. You know what I mean? And it's still, it really does still work. It's a very impressive technical feat, but I just couldn't justify it at that price.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's the most expensive game on here, but I do think it's worth the price. You know what I mean? I like that game a little bit more than you do, obviously, but also it's one of those games where you really want to see what the Lynx was capable of and where the system should have been. Mm-hmm. This is one of the games you need to take a look at.
Yeah, sure, it doesn't look as good. This is the Switch argument right now. Yeah, it doesn't look as good, but it's on the go, and that's great. Now, if this was Ninja Gaiden 2, we'd be having a little bit of different conversation, because Ninja Gaiden 2, I think, is just an overall better game, and I would play Ninja Gaiden 2 that looked like this on a tiny Lynx screen back in the day. I absolutely would. And the Lynx's version of Ninja Gaiden 1 was based off the arcade game, which is to say, it's a beat 'em up. It's not even the best beat 'em up, but it is a beat 'em up.
We're going to get to that list of beat 'em ups.
Yes, we are. I'm excited about
is this hard to put together. Anyway, it's a whole other thing.
Yeah, indeed. All right, my turn, right?
Yeah. So I'm 4 games in. You're getting to game number 4 here.
Yes, and my game number 4 is $17 for Road Blasters.
All right.
Road Blasters
just missed my list.
Understandably so. Road Blasters isn't a masterpiece of game design, but this version of it is very fun to play. Road Blasters is one of those arcade classics that I feel like gets overlooked a lot because, I don't know, it just came out at a time where this game just doesn't have quite that hit mentality, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's a really fun little game, and I think it translated to the Lynx extremely well.
Nah, I love Road Blasters. It's great.
Yeah,
you're right though. It's just kind of missing something.
Yeah. There's just something about Road Blasters that isn't quite like the all-time arcade classics, even by racing game standards or not. But this Lynx port was just it was really good looking. Moves super fast. Your car looks good, and this sounds good. This doesn't sound super chirpy. It's a cool game. I like Road Blasters. Yeah. I don't love Road Blasters, but I like it, and I think this is an excellent technical showcase for what the Lynx was capable of as far as being a great portable place to play arcade classics of the era.
All right, I can't argue with that choice. Can't argue with. Next on my list, though, is for $10, a game that has been on, I think, every fucking system in the history of ever. And that would be the Tengen joint Rampart.
Ooh, an excellent choice. I didn't pick it because I've never been a fan of Rampart, and the reason
it's not for everybody.
Because I don't understand it.
It's not for everybody. It is, it's a fucking troop building, castle building strategy game. It's definitely not the type of game that you're into. It's not the type of game that everybody's into. But you basically build up your castle, you build up your defenses, you shoot cannonballs and shit at people. It's like a very RTS light kind of game, especially on the Lynx. But they were able to take this kind of higher concept game and whittle it down a little bit. Like, they really don't sacrifice very much here. You only get 2 difficulty levels on this one. You get like beginner and expert, or veteran, I think is what they call it. I always played on fucking beginner because whatever, I like to blow shit up. I'm not really trying to prove how smart I am. But I just always really enjoyed Rampart, and it's a game that I don't go back to very, very often, but when I do pick it up, I'm like, oh, this game was cool. And the guys on the cover kind of look like the fucking French. It always reminded me of the French soldiers from Monty Python. So I just always kind of liked it for that reason. And I don't even think they look even anything alike, but it just is what triggers in my mind when I see it. So for $10, it is definitely not one of the I'm just going to pick up and play this for a minute. Like, you commit to play Rampart. But it's definitely worth it.
Well, Ryan Morrison would agree with you.
Yeah, well, and like the other thing is too is that when you're looking at, I'm trying to like think of this, of like somebody pretending that somebody is legitimately sitting here with $100 going, I'm buying the games that fucking asshole says I should buy. Rampart is one of those games that kind of has that infinite replayability.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, for $10, you're getting somewhat of an endless experience, and I think that's there's definitely value in that. And I didn't know Morrison was a Rampart guy.
He's a huge Rampart fan.
Is he?
Loves that game.
All right.
The more you know.
I'm gonna file that away for later use or something.
In case you're on Jeopardy and they ask.
They might. They very well might.
You never know. All right, so my next pick goes to yet another arcade port, but I think an excellent one. It's the $17 Robotron 2084.
Oh, I really wanted to put that on there too. Just missed my list.
Robotron's great, and
Robotron is great.
This is one of the best ports possible of that game. It's not only does it look the part, which wasn't extremely hard, right? Because Robotron isn't a very graphically intense game.
No, sure.
But it sounds exactly like the arcade game. The sound is so perfect on it. And, considering it's not a dual analog system, it controls pretty darn well, too. This is about as good as a portable rendition of Robotron 2084 could have possibly been on this platform. I think it's a really fun game.
All right. Yeah, it's fucking Robotron.
Yeah.
Like, what more do you need to know? You either like that game or you don't.
You either like that game or you're wrong.
Basically. Speaking of liking that game or you're wrong, the second most expensive game on my list, Chris. The $20 Scrapyard Dog.
Yep, that was my next.
I mean, this is like the platformer on the Atari Lynx, right? Like, I think that's kind of how it's considered.
I had never even heard of this game until we started, talking about this episode.
Oh, really?
And I was like, yeah, I was totally unfamiliar with this one. And then I watched a video of it. It's like, all right, this is making my list. No matter what, this game is just too goddamn interesting to not make my list.
It's just a joyous little romp. You're a little kid. I don't remember the little kid's name. I think it was Louis, or Louis, or Lou, something like that. Some form of Lou. And you're going through a scrapyard to rescue your dog from Mr. Big. This is what I loved about gaming back in the day. It was Mr. X and Mr. Big, Mr. Mean. Like, those were your bad guys. Like, we're not even fucking trying. It's just, it's weird that Mr. Big had time to steal this little kid's dog while he was also dealing with Carrie's bullshit. That I just find, like, how did he have the time? The Sex and the City joke for...
No, I get that. I thought you were going to go with
who don't know.
I thought you were going to go with the Narc joke, right? Because wasn't Mr. Big the last boss in Narc, too?
I think so, too. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bigger fan of Sex and the City than I am Narc. So, Sex and the City, that show's fucking great. Anyway, but yeah, like, this is a super fun little game. It's got, it does have the one thing that I hate in video games more than anything else, which is one-hit kills. I do fucking hate that. But the game is forgiving enough in the level design to where you can, like, if you get killed, you fucked up. Very obviously. The game is not cheap. And it's fun. Looks good. Plays good. Got a cute little look to it. Definitely worth it.
Yeah, made my list for similar reasons. Just not very well thought out reasons. I just didn't care. Like, I'm sorry. This game has to be on my list. Sure, as long as it wasn't above 20, it was going to stay. And I wound up taking off. I had to lose another $20 game to make my list work, and so I lost Paperboy in favor of this one.
I think that's a wise choice.
Yeah, because Paperboy is everywhere, and there's better places to play it than on the Lynx.
There are. Where else are you going to get a game where there are dogs in gangster trench coats shooting fucking Tommy guns at you?
Not nearly enough places, I'll tell you that for free.
Definitely not enough places. You know the problems I've been having with dogs in trench coats.
Man, you got some serious-ass dogs in trench coats problems. All right, well, then I guess I'll give you my last one. My last one comes in at $9, bring my overall total to $99, and that's Zybots.
Oh, Zybots.
This game ain't great. I said that a lot about
cool.
these games.
Yeah,
but it's cool.
That's kind of the general consensus with the Lynx. Like,
like, I was thinking a lot about this game and Blue Lightning. Like, Blue Lightning is such a tech showcase for the Lynx, but it's not great. Like,
it's not Afterburner.
Yeah,
and it really wishes it were.
Yeah, I just don't think the game's all that fun. This game's kind of fun, and it does the whole, like, fairly impressive like technical showcase thing of, like, maneuvering around big corridors and stuff. It's a neat looking game, especially on the hardware itself. You're looking at it on the small screen with the front light and whatnot. This is a neat looking game. Not the best game you'll ever play, but it's neat enough that I thought it was worth the $9.
I am very surprised that we did not end on the same game.
What was your last game?
That surprised me, because my last game is the $13, bringing my list to
Zarlor Mercenary?
No. Stun Runner.
Oh, Stun Runner. Yeah, Stun Runner's really cool. Here's where I landed on Stun Runner. Stun Runner was how much?
13. My list was $100 even.
I was trying to choose between Stun Runner and Robotron, and I went with Robotron, even though it was more expensive. And I think there's just something about the Stun Runner port. While it's super cool, I feel like Road Blasters is like more simple fun to me.
I can see that.
Difficult. This game it's super impressive what it does, but it just always struck me as messy. Like I find this game in particular on the Lynx a little bit hard to read. Which isn't to say that it's not doing some super impressive stuff.
Yeah.
I just think like Road Blasters looks so much like its arcade counterpart. It's really easy to tell what's going on and when. And this one is like, it's really impressive, but it just strikes me as super muddy looking.
I can see that a little bit. I've never really had that issue, but I can kind of see what you're getting at. Because I've had similar issues to that with like F-Zero in the past, right? Where like it's just so damn fast, right? That it can get a little muddy, I think is a good way to put it. But like this one especially is true of that with the tiny screen and whatnot. So playing it, emulated the way that I played it maybe makes it a little bit better and a little bit easier to read and see. Because I like for $13, it is a very competent, like futuristic racing game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's other objectives, right? Like collect stars, blow shit up, whatever. But like you hit your speed boost, so you're flying around corners. What I think impresses me the most about this is on such tiny hardware, like, tiny in every sense of the word, from the screen to the fucking microchips that were in there and whatever. It plays really well. Like there's no slowdown, which would have been death for this game.
Oh, definitely. And it does match the arcade game better than you would expect to be able to pull off in like any sort of home conversion of this arcade game. But this kind of strikes me as that just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I could be really wrong about it. I haven't touched this game in ages, but I remember looking at this one in Road Blasters and saying, you know what? I'm going to stick with Road Blasters.
I think this is worth going back and taking a look at. I do. But for $13, you really can't go wrong. And that, that's all I had for this. Like I said, this was not a system that I had a ton of experience with. I've played more Atari Lynx in the last week than I have in my entire time on this planet. And unfortunately, I can't say that I'm going to go back and spend much more time with any of it.
We'll not be looking back on it overly fondly.
No. So give me your list one more time.
California Games, Chips Challenge, Clax, Road Blasters, Robotron, Scrapyard Dog, and Zybots.
All right. I do like Zybots. That is a cool little game. My list for coming in at $100 even was Awesome Golf, Basket Brawl, California Games, Ninja Gaiden 3, Rampart, Scrapyard Dog, and Stun Runner.
Have any other near misses that are worth bringing up?
No, I mean, like I said, the other shit was just so expensive. Stuff that you would want to put on here. Lemmings is $55.
That was my pick. $55 was the first one. I was like, well, the Lemmings on Lynx is actually really good. So, I mean, and it's freaking Lemmings. Lemmings is never a pricey game on a system. And $55? Are you kidding me? And I thought about keeping it. I was like, well, how many other Lynx games am I really going to come up with here? And then I came up with enough. It's like, all right, I can't even consider Lemmings. That's a bummer. I love Lemmings. And the Lynx version's pretty solid.
Like, Xenophobe was pretty good, but that was $42. Even Joust, like the Lynx version of Joust is pretty good, but it's not $28 good.
Nah, not really.
Like, not even a little bit. I don't like the version of Rygar that's on this system.
It's a port of the arcade game, and the arcade Rygar sucks. Yeah. It just does. It's just not a fun game.
Like Miss Pac-Man, I love Miss Pac-Man. This isn't a $21 version of Miss Pac-Man. In my opinion, anyway. The Dracula the Undead, I just didn't spend enough time with it. It's kind of like a weird point-and-click horror game.
Okay,
I kind of dug that, but I didn't spend enough time with it to really give, like, is this a $20 game? I don't know.
I remembered Batman Returns being a decent game, but I didn't re-look into it when putting my list together, and I probably should have. I'm not sure if it would have made the list overall, but I remember Batman Returns on Lynx being pretty decent.
That one is pretty good. What was the price on that one? That one
I have it listed at 14.
Yeah, like, you know.
But I don't know what I would have taken off in place of it. Like, I think Chip's Challenge is a very Lynx game, you know? So.
Yeah, like, if I would have had to take off, like, Stun Runner or Awesome Golf. And, like, I suppose you could make the argument for Batman Returns over Awesome Golf or whatever, but I don't know. It's not an argument I was willing to make.
Just not a hill worth dying on.
It is not a hill worth dying on. However, next month, that one I think is going to be pretty interesting because next month we've got Game Gear.
Game Gear. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on Game Gear and a lot of cool stuff on Game Gear.
And we get to cheat with Game Gear because we have the PAL versions as well.
We do.
Because it plays on both.
Yay.
And I can tell you, like, just looking early stuff at the list, like, Mega Man on Game Gear in the United States is $200. It is not that much in Japan, or on PAL, anyway.
Yeah, it's not that good either.
It's not. It's definitely not $200 good.
No, it's definitely not. I own that game. I have that game. I possess Mega Man for Game Gear, sir. I have played through that game. Well, not through it. I've never finished it because I can't make myself do it.
Yeah, it's not great.
That game's got some freaking problems, man.
It's not even actually on PAL. Is it in Japan? I wonder. Where did I see the other price? No, it's not in Japan either. All right, what the fuck do I know?
I don't know. Don't buy Mega Man for Game Gear.
No.
Unless you're a Mega Man nut and you just have to have it.
If you have $140, though, you should definitely buy CJ Elephant Fugitive. I have no idea what this game is, but you should definitely spend $140 on it.
Without a doubt. I mean, with a game like that.
Elephant Fugitive.
Right,
yeah, this
Mega
is going to
Man.
be a really interesting list, because there's a lot on the Game Gear in the $10 to $20 range. That's really good.
I'm curious how this one's going to pan out. I like the Game Gear quite a bit, but I don't have I have a lot of games for that system, but I never spent a ton of time with it. I got a lot of those games way later in life for super cheap, so I'm looking forward to it.
I only had a Game Gear when the big X when I was over her house one day, and some new neighbors moved in, and like got to talking with them, and they were like a young couple and whatever, and eventually like dude found out I liked video games, and he was like, I've got a Game Gear, do you want it? And I was like, yeah, sure, why the fuck not? And he gave me a Game Gear and a Nomad, and I traded the Nomad to Ryan Morrison for a fucking GameCube, like just straight up, that I think he stole from Game Crazy, but whatever. I don't even care. Anyway, that's a whole story for another story. That's it, Chris. Let's fucking wrap this shit up.
Yes, let's wrap it up. I
love you. I love them, but enough.
All right. That's our show. Join us next week for something or other. What are we doing next week? Is it Summer Series next week?
Yeah, next week is Summer Series. We'll put a poll up for the game because we haven't decided on it yet. We were going to talk about that earlier today, but we didn't.
No, things happened. Life happened to me this week. Life happened to us all, and then we died. Anyway, we'll figure it out.
Though.
We'll figure it out. We'll either put a poll up or we'll just decide what we're playing. It'll be a hoot and a holler for all parties involved.
Mm-hmm.
We're on most social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all manner of other fun stuff, like a link to our namesakes, stoneagegamer.com, the Geekade Patreon, which helps us keep this show running week after week, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, is written by Banjo Guy Ollie. You can learn all about his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. And finally, as always, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making this show listenable for all you folks. We'd like to thank all you folks in the first place for listening to our show. I read that out of order, but who cares? I'm very tired. Also, I kind of stole that little you thing from Ferg.
That's all right.
One of my favorite recurring jokes on his show, and I don't know why it's one of my favorite things, but I just love it whenever he says, "And the black and white switch is not used in this game." I just love it. It cracks me up every single time. Ferg, you're a mad genius, and I love you.
He's the best. We should all want to be Ferg when we grow up.
And we should all listen to his podcast. The Atari 2600 Game by Game podcast is lovely.
Not officially a part of Geekade.com, which makes me sad. Gonna put that out there.
He's an official member of the family. An unofficial member of the family. Did I say unofficial? I've lost the way words work.
Me no English good.
I'm so tired.
All right, well, go to bed.
I will go to bed, god damn it. Thanks for listening, everybody. On behalf of Dan and myself, keep playing games.